It was a Pablo Day matinee massacre of the Mariners. Twins win 11-1, take 3 of 4 from Seattle, and came very, very close to sweeping them and have now won 15 of their last 17. We'll break down the series. We'll get you ready for Toronto and everything in between. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren. You can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNEN. Joining me this afternoon is Mr. Dave Brown in his glory. Mr. Dave, how are we doing? By the way, follow him at Answer Dave Brown on Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it these days.
I call it Twitter. It's Mama named it Twitter. That's what I'm calling it. But I'm happy for Day Baseball on Pablo Day, and the Twins are like 14-6 on his starts at Target Field, so you kind of expect victory.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. And like I said, 15 of their last 17, 16 of their last 19. Twins are rolling. They are 2 out in the AL Central, if that's the sort of thing you worry about right now. Cleveland playing a little later on. They're opening a 4-game set with the White Sox, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us a high five. We'll take it. And today's show is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off. We got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go today, now free on Google Play or the App Store. All right, game on. Remember, you can catch every pitch of the Twins' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search the word Twins. You'll have Chris and, I assume, Danny, maybe Paul Molitor. Sometimes when they go to Toronto, they bring old Molly up there. But it'll be Joe Ryan starting the opener against Yusei Kikuchi. They will not be slated to face Jose Barrios, so that'll be kind of a bum deal. But 6:07 first pitch Central Time at Rogers Center on Friday. We're going to see Joe Ryan, Simeon Woods Richardson, and Bailey Ober. And on the Blue Jays side, Yusei Kikuchi, Kevin Gausman, and Alek Manoah. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Dave, quick question. Is it too early to worry about the Twins?
People are going to worry about them no matter what, before, during, after. So it's I think it's healthy to be worried about your favorite ball team. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes people get a little. I'm trying to think of a politically correct term. A little nuts about the Twins in a harsh way. But I think they're performing pretty well against some excellent teams.
I think worry is a tricky word too, because worry for me is like things I can control, things that actually affect me, or things that I really think about or really worry about, pay more attention to. I don't know what the word is, but how about this? You are now, 37 games into the season. You're 37 regular season games into your tenure as a Twins podcaster. How has your view of this fan base changed?
I find them pretty funny and amusing, and of course, some of the things I choose to pay attention to. Talking about things that you can control, I can control like who I listen to and who I read on Twitter, and the opinions that I respect or give weight to, and I enjoy the people who are fun and funny about it. I think there's some who are a little worrywart and a little hyper, and not necessarily in a great way. And I think the people that really forget about how long the season is and the ups and the downs, and not living granularly. I'm not sure if that's a word. If you pay attention to enough fans, you'll find fun and enlightening ones to ride along with. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. And a few of those that cropped out or popped out or hopped out on this series were when the Twins dropped game 2, so which would have been Tuesday, 10-6. Really just, again, you can say this just about any time, but a couple pitches away from actually sweeping this series. I guess a pretty dang good Mariners team. Seattle, even after dropping 3 of 4, is 20-18. They're a game and a half behind the defending World Series champions. Boy, that West is a mess with Houston 12-24. By the way, Houston is going to be playing, I have this down here, the Tigers coming up. So that'll start tomorrow. But hey, the West is wild. It's the wild, wild West. And that's not just me being kind of cheeky. The Mariners are a good team. And, the Twins don't see them all that much. And I feel like Twins fans, when they're in Seattle, those games are late at night. So maybe fans don't watch them as much. This is not a Mariners. This Mariners team is from a different vein than, you sweep the White Sox. You sweep the Angels. You sweep the White Sox again. This, if you were downplaying those series, this should put the Twins firmly on your radar. True or false?
Yeah, it should persuade you a little bit that it's not just a case of the Twins padding their stats against a terrible, terrible team. And of course, We're talking about the Sox. And even the Red Sox, who I don't necessarily think will be in the playoff hunt at the end. They're certainly improved. Their pitching has been performing well. And the Twins' results against Red Sox pitching, in that going back to that series, and Seattle pitching, Gilbert, I was about to call him Gilbert Arenas. Logan Gilbert came in with a 1.69 ERA and was one of the best pitchers in the American League, and they jumped all over him. He still got a bunch of swings and misses, so he had good stuff from time to time. But the Twins were ready for what he was bringing, and it's I think like I said before, somebody asked during the winning streak, what was your favorite part or most enlightening part about how the Twins were going about it, and it was I think I was relieved and pleased with how the width and the breadth and the depth of the offense was taking over. Because today they scored, what was today's score?
11-1.
11-1. Correa was not in the lineup. Kirilloff, who hasn't really been hitting anyway, wasn't in the lineup, and Margot was starting against
Joe Mauer, not in the lineup.
I'm talking about the people that maybe we were expecting to be in the lineup. So they didn't have, and of course, Royce Lewis, who was giving great updates on his health and other things. He was hanging around, but he wasn't in the lineup either. So, 11 runs against one of the best pitchers in the league without a full lineup. People should be excited about that part of the Twins for sure.
Gilbert ERA now sits at 2.94, which is really telling you where it was because he gave up 8 earned in 4 innings. And Roster Resource has this fun little spot where it lists teams' rankings for hitting, starting pitchers, and relief pitchers. Their starting pitchers, and I would assume this has not updated yet, including to today's game, but whether it does or doesn't is still impressive. Seattle is 7th in starter ERA, 1st in WHIP, 3rd in walks per 9, 6th in strikeouts per 9, 2nd in hits per 9, and 18th in homers per 9. The bullpen on all those stats are top 10. The Twins in this series, if I can do some math here, let's see, 9, 15. The Twins scored 26 runs and allowed, is that 16? I think is the math here. So again, a team that hasn't hit much, maybe not that surprising. Mariners in the series hit 218, 289 with a 323 slug. So 612 OPS, which is a stunning tribute to the area code the Twins find themselves in, which is 612. But to do this to a pretty dang solid Mariners pitching staff, averaging just a touch under 7 runs per game, and that's no Royce Lewis, that's no Byron Buxton for the last game where they scored a large portion of those runs, no Carlos Correa. Again, we come back to this depth that you and I have kind of banged the drum for pretty much since you joined the show.
I've been impressed with Willie Castro bouncing back. He is a very almost luxurious kind of player to have down in the lineup. He's a very effective hitter. He's increased his walk rate a little bit. I think his strikeouts are up too, but
he gets every appearance is a heat check with him.
Yeah.
which whatever.
Absolutely.
It is what it is.
Absolutely. Larnach has been hitting very well. And Jeffers has been among the best hitters in the league. I think he's, I had very high expectations, but relatively speaking, he could be maybe an AL All-Star, one of the better catchers. I mean, he's been one of the best hitters absolutely in the league, up there with Ohtani and whoever else you want to name at the top so far. I don't know if that's sustainable, but certainly I think Jeffers is finding his potential and finding his ceiling, and it's a lot higher than a lot of people thought it was.
Yeah, Jeffers coming into today was first in win probability added among all hitters, ahead of Ohtani, Alec Boehm, Jurickson Profar, who is having a shockingly good start to his season.
Very strange career, Jurickson Profar. You think the guy he's out for 2 years, and then he's all those expectations that he had when he was in the majors at 19, and good for him, but it's weird.
What a strange, silly ride. But like Justin Morneau said today twice, that's baseball, Susan. Or maybe I think he said it once, and I think Corey said it once. We've got more information on one thing that they said that was funny. We've got some stats from the series. We're going to look ahead to Toronto, because if you ask me, this is probably about as good of a 3-game schedule for the Twins to go to Toronto. We'll talk about if we think the home run sausage is going to make it into Toronto, and all of that plus much more. But first, a quick break, and then, we'll be right back here momentarily. We are down to just a few days from Mother's Day, and you can get something thoughtful for your mom on DoorDash, believe it or not. Check it out. You can surprise her from wherever you are with fresh bouquets, the latest technology, gift cards, self-care treats, and more to make her day that much better. She knows what you love, and you should know the same about her, and DoorDash is here to help you by being able to get that to her for you, no matter how far away you are. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB, and you get 50% off your next order, up to $15. So as long as you spend at least $15, you'll get 50% off, and they'll give you 50% off all the way up to getting $15 off. So again, it's a little confusing, a little bit of math, but just trust me, you're going to want to do this. Pair flowers, though, with a gift card. If she wants, whatever she wants, she can spend it on a coffee shop, a big box store. She likes books. Twins tickets, you name it. There's all kinds of options. You can't go wrong. And you get the convenience of shopping from your phone wherever you are. You don't got to get up at the crack of dawn on Sunday and race out to whatever's open and try to find something that might be what she'll like. You know what you're going to be getting into, and it's all out of your hands once you do your part. Order now and get everything you need for Mother's Day on DoorDash. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB and get 50% off your next order. You have to spend $15, but you can save up to $15 on your next flower, convenience store, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's LOCKEDONMLB as the promo code, and order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. Also, we are going to let you know about Monopoly Go. It's been a sponsor here for a little while, and we've been tracking the leaderboards every day, keeping our eye on the scores, putting our heart into it, and we're pumped to announce that, at least I know I'm on top. I don't know about Dave. I haven't been watching Dave as close as I maybe should, but obviously, we're talking about Monopoly Go. You've probably heard of it. It's been downloaded 150 million plus times, whether it's on the App Store or Google Play. It's on either one of those, so whichever one you got, check it out. It's a great twist, a mobile twist on the classic Monopoly game that you grew up loving and playing at your kitchen table, but you can play this one anywhere and anytime. You can explore hundreds of Monopoly boards from Las Vegas to Camelot to the moon, all while raking in a huge digital fortune. You can charge rent on your iconic properties, just like the Monopoly you remember as a kid. And you can also charge your friends when you're facing your friends. But you can also go after their Monopoly money by pulling bank heists and taking wrecking balls to their landmarks. Who has not dreamed of that? To me, that sounds devious and it sounds awesome. My favorite part is the leaderboards, where you can see who's a Monopoly tycoon and who has gone bankrupt. And I tell you what, those leaderboards are almost like having a target on your back. Just keep that in mind. So get yourself on the charts. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store and on Google Play. All right, we are back here. We're into the bullpen, and so the Morneau thing that I thought was funny was, Timberwolves fever has kind of struck Minnesota. They're 6-0 in the playoffs. The Suns literally just fired their head coach after they got swept by the Wolves. Like literally, as we're coming on the air today, it came across the.
No kidding.
So it's not great. So Wolves fever has a fever pitch, and there was someone sitting in a Morneau jersey next to someone sitting in an Anthony Edwards jersey, and Corey Provis goes, "Oh, what would you look at that?" And Justin Morneau, without skipping a beat, deadpans, "Well, at least one of them's won a playoff series." And I tell you what, Corey's reaction was pretty much perfect. The one thing you can say about Corey is that he has transitioned from radio to TV, I think, quite well. But that was such a fun moment there. You can definitely tell that they already have a good vibe between those two.
I enjoy the broadcast, and individually, you never know what kind of chemistry or how it's going to form or anything like that. But I enjoy the guys in their previous work. I think Morneau has a lot of talent and just needs reps, basically. But together, you're right. You can feel a good rapport between the two. And I'm sure that the Twins fans, I mean, there's always going to be a complainer out there, but I'm sure they enjoy, if they can see the Bally Sports broadcast, what those guys are bringing. I would like to point out, though, Morneau, they were telling stories about Lew Ford being a player coach. I think Morneau referred to him as a 58-year-old, which is he's about 11 years too senior on that. But Lew Ford's only 47 years old, so I think I don't want it to get out that my man Lew Ford is almost 60. That's not true.
Do you know the Lew Ford? Well, this is a Lew Ford story.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, he was eating lunch. Not the one of him ironing his shirt while wearing it, but this is how Gardy met one.
There was Smoltz.
Oh well, this is how Gardy met one of Lew Ford's friends. They were out of town, and I believe out of town. Maybe they were in Minnesota. I don't know, but Gardy walked by, and Lew was having lunch with somebody. He goes, "Hey, why don't you introduce me to your friend?" And Lew's like, "I don't even know his name either. We just play video games online together." And this is back in like 04, 05. Like that's a different era, man. That's like when you're comparing this Timberwolves team to the Timberwolves team with KG and Sam Cassell and Latrell Sprewell. This is that's how different the world is. Like now, people meet people. You and I met first on Twitter, then in person, and then more on Twitter, and then But I mean, in the world,
we were morons virtually before being morons.
Exactly.
In real life. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it was just like, I don't even know his name either. We play games together online. Yeah. It's like, wow.
Yeah, his handle's like I can't think of anything clever because I'm weak. But yeah, I was like ball under the hood 34 at playnest.org or something. But that was terrible. But yeah. It's like being on it's being online in the 90s, before the World Wide Web happened. It's like that's some old school. Yeah, right. Or USA Today had an online service, Prodigy. You remember the dial-up Prodigy service?
That was just before me. My era was like MSN Messenger, AOL Instant Messenger was like when I kind of hit the airwaves, which is still primitive compared to now. But you got the what did Baseball Prospectus was originally part of a Usenet group or like
that's right. That's one of the ways that they started, and I think one of the ways that they got people to write for them sprung from that. So it was very organic and crowd based and all that stuff. And Fangraphs still does a lot of crowdsourcing and that kind of thing. So,
and my favorite Baseball Prospectus story, and I know I've told you this before, is you can't find the first copy of their book. It's like $100 and some bucks on Amazon last I checked, because they short printed it for one, because who knew that anybody was going to want it, and they missed an entire team. They didn't have an S for an entire team, and it wasn't the Florida Marlins, it wasn't the Colorado Rockies. Arizona Diamondbacks and Rays didn't even exist yet. It was the St. Louis Cardinals. They forgot the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know how you do that. It makes me laugh.
Well, they've come a long way since then, thankfully.
That's Baseball Prospectus, Susan.
I think I don't know if Lew would ever be in the market for being a major league coach or a manager, but I could maybe see him transitioning to that someday, because he was a player coach for the Long Island Ducks as recently as last year. I think maybe he's just a coach or manager now. So
yeah.
But anyway, so that's your Lew Ford update for Friday. For Thursday.
Yeah. Well, isn't it there was a pitcher said it helps if the hitter thinks you're a little crazy.
Yeah.
In Lew Ford's case, he's the hitter who is a little crazy. Let's talk. We have a couple seconds here. We do have to go to our second break, but I do want to talk about the Twins pitching staff before we go to break. We'll talk about the offense when we come back. 3.75 ERA in the 4-game series, 111 WHIP, 13.25 strikeouts per 9. They only allow 3 homers in the entire series. And really, outside of a couple tough innings from Jorge Alcala and Jay Jackson, like, this pitching staff was absolutely disgusting over the whole 4-game series.
And maybe it's a little hanging out too much with Twins fans on Twitter, but I do, kind of worry about different sorts of, little granular details. Like Stamont today, Josh Stamont made his debut with the Twins.
That was the least dominant 3 strikeout inning I've ever seen.
That's a good way of putting it. He did have some whiffs on his slider, and some of the stats were not discouraging. He wasn't throwing very hard. I think he was throwing about 93. And did you say that you saw that he had reached like 98 or so at St. Paul? Maybe
no,
my other friend Brandon, but
he had only been like 94, and he'd been 98, 99 before that. He did have 5 swinging strikes in an inning of work. So
okay, so it's not a sudden loss of velocity; it's a consistent loss of velocity.
It's more of a, how much did thoracic outlet take away from me, and how much can I expect to get back, kind of thing.
Yeah, I see. Well, so sporadic command of his fastball too. It wasn't, So I'm trying to keep it real, but also not worry about little things. And during the series, one thing that did come up was the concern about potentially overusing the bullpen, and how that shorter starts by starters, trying to make them go a little bit more. And they did push Pablo to 100 pitches. I think it was his best performance since the first one of the year. I think he had one other really good start too, but he's kind of been up and down a little bit. I think he had 10 Ks, no walks, which is amazing. When you do that, and 100 pitches, the Mariners are not in a great place right now offensively. I don't think they have a great lineup to begin with, but they're really kind of down now, so we can't get too excited about it. So, but the depth at the end makes me a little, and the not quite great consistency of the starting pitchers to go deeper into games makes me a little worried about the future. But then when you look at what other teams bring to the table in terms of bullpen depth and starting rotation depth, there aren't too many that have it better than the Twins. So whatever these Twins problems are, they kind of pale compared to what the rest of the league might be going through.
The Rays are I just spoiled my point. The Mariners offense right now is built like the Rays, but it's playing like the Devil Rays. And that's an issue. Yeah. Pablo, as we had to break here, 8 starts in, 3.89 ERA, 0.98 WHIP, 55 strikeouts in 44 innings. That's what you signed the guy up for. So we will look forward to him starting again next time out. He is going to have the Yankees. So that'll be a fun one here. Let's take a quick pause and give some love to Prize Picks. And then when we come back, we will quickly get you out of here with a little Blue Jays preview and a little offensive flavor besides. But again, a word from Prize Picks. Prize Picks is North America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. You don't have to worry about other people crowding you out, all those entries, using their algorithms and all that fun stuff. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stats and see your winnings roll in. Whether you use the Demon Picks, which are marked in red and are more risky, or the Goblin Picks, which are green and won't make you as much money, but are a little more safe, you have options. And that's, to me, that's what's the most fun part. If you're into the NBA, playoffs heating up, you can pick more than or less than on everything from 3-pointers made to turnovers committed. And for MLB, no shortage of options there. There's probably more stats in MLB than you can shake a fist at. So if you're thinking first inning strikeouts or first inning runs, or you want to do pretty much anything under the sun you can imagine, you can do it at Prize Picks. Go check it out for yourself. Download the app today and enter the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB. It's all one word. It's all lowercase. You can see it on the screen if you are watching us on YouTube. And you'll get a first deposit match up to $100. Join Prize Picks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, Dave Brown, I got to give some love to the Postcast. They have been covering us too. And it's Locked On Twins with a little different flavor after most games. So check them out. I will have at least part of the Yankees series coming up here. So again, it's Locked On Twins, but a little different. So a little more game focused, a little less big picture focused. Twins this series offensively hit 250 with a 305 on base and a 500 slug. I guess, I know that doing triple slashes for single games and series might be a little strange, but 26 runs in 4 games, so 6.5 per game, 6 homers, 30 strikeouts, 10 walks, just kind of trying to put into context how this series went. The offensive star, unquestionably, is Max Kepler. 7 for 15. 6 of those hits go for extra bases, a 1,500 OPS. And if you go on a per plate appearance basis, Ryan Jeffers goes 4 for 8 and hits a couple homers, hits a double, 1920 OPS. I don't remember 1920 that well, but it sounds like it was pretty nice if you are Ryan Jeffers.
1920, that's the year the White Sox got caught, and
that's the year Sid
Hartman, World Series.
Sid Hartman was born that year.
Really?
You're
not exaggerating?
He was 8 years older than Mickey Mouse. That was like my favorite little bit when Sid was still alive, because obviously I'd be like, Sid Hartman is 8 years older than Mickey Mouse, and they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. Steamboat Willie was 1928, and Sid was already 8 years old. Sid was like 70 days old or whatever when Babe Ruth was sold to the Yankees. He was in his mama's stomach when Joe Jackson and the boys got in trouble. Like the scope of how long he was alive is incredible.
1920, that's almost long enough to have fought Germany twice in world wars, but now we don't have to do that. We're friends with Germany, and they're giving us right fielders for the Twins. Kepler is he's hitting 434 on his streak after starting the season 1 for 20 and injuring his knee on opening day against the Royals. He's in a 17 for 38 groove with 20 extra base hits. I don't know how that's possible. If you're 17 for 38 with 20 extra base hits, it doesn't quite make sense. But so maybe I have some of that wrong. But I will say that he's just been absolutely. I got that from TV. Okay, so it's not me.
TV never lied to you.
What I say here, what they say there comes out here. So
23
I'm just
hits.
reading anything on the teleprompter.
I see 23 hits and 11 extra base hits for Kepler in his last 16.
I'm just going to throw the whole stat
Hitting
out.
434.
I'm going with that. Sure.
I got the 434.
All right, great. Well, I heard that right. So this would be edited if this were written, but since it's kind of like live radio-ish, the mistakes are just going to flow, and they're going to wash over you, and you're going to forget about it. But
the Atlantic.
Kepler's been. You've seen Kepler get into a groove like this a little bit over the middle second portion of last season. He started out slow then too. I don't honestly remember if there was an injury issue there, but he's been improving as a baseball player, as a hitter. There are still things like I kind of worry about his leg injury and his sprint speed and that kind of thing. Playing defense, he was DHing today, and Larnach was in right field, and I still think Larnach might be dealing with like leftover turf toe or something, because he wasn't moving really well.
It doesn't sound very appetizing.
No, it's not that. No, it's not a sausage either. You don't eat the turf toe.
Are they going to get that into Canada? I can't think of any issues, but like if
will they have to hide it in order to get in there? And then is it like going to Turks and Caicos where, guys, they leave their extra bullets in their bags and then they get caught at customs and then they go to jail? Is it a situation like that? Will there be caning involved, like that kid in Indonesia or Singapore 25 years ago. I mean, are all the Twins going to come back from Toronto because they were trying to sneak the sausage in when maybe they didn't have to? Maybe it's like a in plain sight sort of thing. I'll be interested to see.
I had a joke queued up for something the Twins have that would be harder to get across the border, and now I forgot it. Like I had a joke that was like, "No, that's going to be tougher to get across the border than the home run sausage." And
well, let me look at the. You mentioned, we want to talk about the actual team they're playing, the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays offensively are going. We talked about their pitching a little bit, but the Blue Jays offensively are going through kind of an even worse than Seattle kind of a thing.
Their runners in scoring position numbers I just looked at recently.
Yeah,
as bad as the Twins were to start the year, or worse.
Right.
Like
so they're going through a thing. We'll see if the Twins can kind of keep them in. But Vladimir Guerrero is like maybe 8 or 10% above league average, which is not. You want him to be like 40% above.
Yeah.
Bo Bichette is like 50% below league average. I don't know. He's got 1 home run. I don't know what he's doing. They play Isaiah Kiner-Falefa on purpose.
Twins legend.
Third base a lot. David Schneider is hitting for them. He's the one guy that's actually swinging the bat well. Him and Dalton Varshaw's doing all right. Danny Jansen's come back off the DL. When he catches, he's been hitting. But Kevin Kiermaier isn't hitting. George Springer's about 2/3 below average. I mean, it's just he made a great catch on defense. Gosh, against the Phillies yesterday. Look that up. It was really good. But he ain't hitting. He's hitting 206 with a 298 slugging. So Justin Turner's a formidable bat, the redheaded man. So we'll see if the Twins pitchers can keep the Blue Jays hitters down, because they're down right now.
I like the matchups. Kikuchi, Gaussman, Manoah. Manoah's a mess. Kikuchi is not one of their best guys, and Gaussman the Twins seem to own. I'm going to be interested to see how Simeon Woods Richardson fares against his old friends. All right, that's all we have time for. This has been Locked On Twins. He's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Warren, and we'll see ya tomorrow night.